In Tanzania, a disputed election is turning into a human rights emergency. On October 29th, President Samia Suluhu Hassan was declared re-elected with nearly 98% of the vote after her main rivals were barred from running. International observers and opposition parties called the process a sham, pointing to arrests, intimidation, and a 6-day internet shutdown that made independent reporting almost impossible. But what has emerged since the blackout was lifted is far worse than a flawed vote. The UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk says there are credible reports that hundreds of people and possibly more than 2,000 were killed when security forces opened fire on protests across several cities in the days after the election. Verified videos show police and soldiers firing live rounds into crowds. Opposition party Chadema alleges that security forces didn't just kill protesters, they then try to erase the evidence of what happened. Party leaders say that bodies were removed from hospital morgues and taken away in trucks, and that some families were later told their relatives had been buried in undisclosed locations. And the UN says it received similar reports that bodies were taken by security forces to undisclosed locations, raising fears of mass or unmarked graves and making it impossible for families to recover the dead. The government insists the opposition's figures are exaggerated, but has not offered its own death toll. Instead, officials have warned that sharing videos of the crackdown online could lead to treason charges, and prosecutors have brought treason or terrorism cases against dozens of opposition supporters and activists already, charges that carry the death penalty under Tanzanian law. But under mounting pressure from the UN, Western governments, and regional partners, President Samia has now announced an inquiry to investigate the protest deaths. The panel is supposed to look at who gave the orders for live fire, how many people were killed, and whether bodies were hidden. But critics are pointing out that its members are drawn from within the establishment and say that only an independent international investigation can credibly answer those questions. For now, the basic facts remain contested, but what is clear is that Tanzania's post-election violence has moved beyond allegations of ballot box fraud into something much darker. A crisis of disappearances, secret burials, and a government that still refuses to say how many of its own citizens are dead. If you believe independent journalism like this matters, consider supporting the show through Patreon or a YouTube membership with added perks. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us keep telling the stories that go far beyond the headlines and bringing valuable information to the masses. We don't have big donors or sponsors. We are truly building this pure and from the ground up. If you've gotten something out of these videos, please consider becoming a supporter today and be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any new updates.